Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH8 physical characteristics adjustments. PG49 functional utility. Notes print. Leave a comment. Functional utility. In this category of the URAR form, you note whether the house fits with its intended use. Functional utility is defined as the ability of a property or building to be useful and to perform the function for which it is intended according to current market tastes and standards, the efficiency of a building's use in terms of architectural style, design and layout, traffic patterns, and the size and type of rooms. Are the rooms big enough? Are there enough bathrooms? Do you go through a bedroom to get to another bedroom? Are the stairs too narrow to get furniture and people up and down? Is the design appealing? In other words, if it is meant to be a home, would it have a loss of utility that would impact its value as compared to other homes? Determine whether functional utility is adequate or inadequate, or rate it fair, average, or good for the subject and all comparables. Enter this information in the URAR form. Functional utility is not a commonly adjusted for item, because most modern homes tend to be properly designed. The expectations of the market do change, however, and the appraiser must be careful to look for potential impacts. You would most often adjust for this factor when there is a significant inadequacy in the subject or its comparables. An entry would therefore require an explanatory comment. If there is a difference in functional utility, do a matched pair analysis to determine a value amount for the adjustment if possible and enter it into the grid. The amount of an inadequacy adjustment usually is the estimated cost to cure the problem, particularly if it can't be easily paired. End of page. 52%. Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH8 physical characteristics adjustments. PG50 heating/cooling. Notes print. Leave a comment. Heating/cooling. Detail whether the subject and its comparables have heating and air conditioning systems, and if so, what type. Many appraisers only adjust here if the subject, or a comparable, has a significantly different system than what is common for this age and class of building. For example, some subdivisions were built when electric baseboard heating was common. 30 years later, natural gas service became available in the neighborhood. In many markets, the cost for natural gas is much lower than electricity, so a gas forced air system may be perceived as superior to electric radiant baseboard heaters. Newer energy-efficient heat pump systems may also need to be adjusted. Heat pumps deliver both hot and cold air, and the adjustment might be significant due to this dual function. The appraiser would look for paired sales to arrive at an adjustment for this. End of page. Chapter start. 52%. Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH8 physical characteristics adjustments. PG51 energy efficient items. Notes print. Leave a comment. Energy efficient items. Energy conservation features should be noted in a home, as they can add considerable value. These include solar panels, high R factor insulation, double or triple paned windows, and other elements of green design. Even passive solar features such as more windows on the south side and less on the northern side can make a difference in northern climes. A high-efficiency furnace would typically be dealt with under the heating/cooling line, even though it does have better energy efficiency. Conversely, a home with single-pane windows and no insulation would also require an adjustment for inefficiency under functional utility. End of page. Chapter start. 52%. Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH8 physical characteristics adjustments. PG52 garage/carport. Notes print. Leave a comment. Garage/carport. Note whether the subject and comparables have a garage or carport, and the size, 1 car, 2 car, etc. If both the subject and the comparable have garages, note what type they are, such as 2 attached garage, 2 detached garage, or 2 attached carport. Many new houses are being constructed today with 3-car garages. Even though you rarely see 3 cars stored inside. The extra space is useful for storage and for items such as riding lawnmowers, ATVs, snowmobiles, and boats. 3-car garages may bring a premium and require a larger adjustment. In other cases, 2-car garages may be the norm, and a single-car garage may call for a substantial reduction. End of page. Chapter start. 52%. Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH8 physical characteristics adjustments. PG53 porch. Notes print. Leave a comment. Porch. This section of the sales comparison grid addresses living or recreational space that is not part of the main structure, yet adds to the value of the home. Consider local preferences when making adjustments here. Maybe all homes in your area have screened-in porches or decks. Features to include are deck, gazebo, indoor or outdoor fireplace, patio, porch, screened-in patio, enclosed porch, shed or other outbuildings, pool, tennis court, barn, boathouse, dock, extraordinary landscaping, fence, greenhouse, spa/hot tub. The value of these features tends to be very market specific. Do a paired sales analysis to determine the value of each item in your area. End of page. Chapter start. 52%.
Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Chapter 8, physical characteristics adjustments. Page 54, check your understanding. This quiz has a total of 30 questions. There will be 1 question per page. You must achieve 66% to pass this quiz. Start quiz. Number 1. Items of wear and tear on a property that should be fixed now to protect the value or income producing ability of the property, such as a broken window, a dead tree, a leak in the roof, or a faulty roof that must be completely replaced. These items are almost always curable, is the definition of A. Functional obsolescence, B. Short-lived components, C. Deferred maintenance, or D. Expected repairs. I'm going to go B. Short-lived components. Not sure on that one. Number 2, in the appraisal of a single unit residence, a finished basement should A, always be counted in the total room count. B, be included in total room count only if it has finished flooring. C, be calculated as part of the GLA. Or D, be calculated separately from the GLA. I'm going to go D, be calculated separately from the GLA, because it's below grade. Number 3, a broken window pane is an example of A, deferred maintenance, B, incurable depreciation, C, a short-lived item, or D, a long-lived item. I'm going to go A, deferred maintenance. Assessment completed. Finish. You passed. You got a 66.7%. So, remember, number 1, items of wear and tear on a property that should be fixed now to protect the value or income producing ability of the property, such as a broken window, a dead tree, a leak in the roof, or a faulty roof that must be completely replaced. These items are almost always curable, is the definition of. You said short-lived components. That's incorrect. The correct answer was deferred maintenance. Items of wear and tear on a property that should be fixed now to protect the value or income producing ability of the property, such as a broken window, a dead tree, a leak in the roof, or a faulty roof that must be completely replaced. These items are almost always curable is the definition of deferred maintenance. Number 2, in the appraisal of a single unit residence, a finished basement should, you said, be calculated separately from the GLA, and that is correct. And lastly, number 3, a broken window pane is an example of. You said deferred maintenance, and that is correct. Continue.
Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH8 physical characteristics adjustments. PG 55 summary. Notes. Leave a comment. Summary. In Chapter 8, we discussed adjustments for physical characteristics of the site and the improvements. This is the last element of comparison when making adjustments in the 7-step sequence for residential properties. We started with discussing site characteristics, including view, and how to make adjustments for differences in site factors. The importance of design and housing style was addressed along with how to judge them. The issue of the quality of the building improvements was investigated and explained. Quality ratings were discussed. Room count and calculation of gross living area were covered and illustrations offered. The issue of rooms below grade and finished basement area was addressed separately. There were discussions of other fields that appear in the URAR that may or may not require adjustment. They include functional utility, heating/cooling, energy-efficient items, and garage carport. The last items included porches, patios, decks, and any other ancillary items that may impact value. Here we go again, another chapter-ending quiz. Click here if you would like to open this chapter as a PDF, which you can then print or save to your device. Chapter 8. End of page. Chapter start. 53%.
Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Chapter 8, physical characteristics adjustments. Page 56, Chapter 8, ending quiz. This quiz has a total of 9 questions. There will be 1 question per page. You must achieve 80% to pass this quiz. Start quiz. Number 1. Fannie Mae says for units in condominiums, the appraiser should use blank dimensions to calculate the gross living area. A. Exterior. B. Interior or exterior. C. Interior. Or D. Cubic footage. I'm going to go C. Interior. Number 2. Which is an example of a deferred maintenance item? A. Plumbing leak. B. Missing shingles. C. Peeling paint or exterior shutters. Or D. All of these. I'm going to go D. All of these. Number 3. When describing the area of a small lot, less than 1 acre, we usually use A. Acres. B. Square feet. C. Rods. Or D. Cubic feet. I'm going to go B. Square feet. Number 4. The age of property that is based on the amount of observed deterioration and obsolescence it has sustained is the definition of blank age. A. Actual. B. Historical. C. Chronological. Or D. Effective. I'm going to go D. Effective. Number 5. Standard terminology for describing the style of a residence would not include A. Ranch. B. Colonial. C. 1-story. Or D. Cape Cod. I'm going to go C. 1-story. Number 6. An estimate of remaining economic life is required when completing the URAR. A. Only by Fannie Mae. B. By Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. C. Only by FHA. Or D. By FHA and VA. I don't know this one. I'm going to go D. FHA and VA. Number 7, the ability of a property or building to be useful and to perform the function for which it is intended according to current market tastes and standards is the definition of A. Quality. B. Functional utility. C. Usefulness. Or D. Effectiveness. I'm going to go B. Functional utility. Number 8, when describing the area of a large lot, 1 acre or more, we usually use A. Acres. B. Square feet. C. Rods. Or D. Cubic feet. I'm going to go acres. A. And number 9, an appraiser can reasonably assume that A. Most homes in a subdivision are of the same general quality. B. No homes in a subdivision are of the same general quality. C. Quality has nothing to do with subdivision location. Or D. All subdivisions in a geographic area are of the same general quality. I'm going to go A. Most homes in a subdivision are of the same general quality. Assessment completed. Finished. You passed. You got 100 motherfucking%. Hell yeah. So remember, Fannie Mae, this was number 1. Fannie Mae says for units in condominiums, the appraiser should use blank dimensions to calculate the gross living area. You said interior, and that is correct. Number 2, which is an example of a deferred maintenance item. You said all of these in regards to a plumbing leak, missing shingles, and peeling paint on exterior shutters, and that is correct. Number 3, when describing the area of a small lot less than 1 acre, we usually use, you said square feet. That is correct. Number 4, the age of property that is based on the amount of observed deterioration and obsolescence it has sustained is the definition of blank age. You said effective. That is correct. Number 5, standard terminology for describing the style of a residence would not include, you said, 1 story. That is correct. Number 6, an estimate of remaining economic life is required when completing the URAR. You guessed by FHA and VA, but that is actually correct. Now, I thought about that because they're lenders. Number 7, the ability of a property or building to be useful and to perform the function for which it is intended according to the current market taste and standard is the definition of, you said, functional utility. That is correct. Number 8, when describing the area of a large lot, 1 acre or more, we usually use, you said, acres. That's correct. Number 9, an appraiser can reasonably assume that, you said, most homes in a subdivision are of the same general quality, and that is correct. Continue.
Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH9 completing the sales comparison approach. PG1 overview of Chapter 9. Notes. Leave a comment. Overview of Chapter 9. In this chapter, we will fill out the rest of the sales comparison approach section of the URAR and come to our indicated value by the sales comparison approach. We begin with general instructions on how to complete the URAR form and its required exhibits. Then we will discuss selecting comparable sales. After entering sales information and making adjustments, the final steps are to calculate net adjustments and the final adjusted sale prices of the comparable sales. We will discuss the importance of net and gross adjustments. The reporting of prior sales and guidance on property flipping will be covered next. The final reconciliation process will be discussed and illustrated, along with the summary of the sales comparison approach. Suggested addenda will be illustrated. End of page. Chapter start. 53%. Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH9 completing the sales comparison approach. PG2 learning objectives for chapter. Notes. Leave a comment. Learning objectives for chapter. Upon completion of the chapter, the participants will be able to prepare the sales comparison approach in the URAR form. Relate how to apply net adjustments to arrive at adjusted sale prices of the comparable sales. Describe how to research and report prior sales of the subject property and comparable sales. Relate common items in report exhibits and addenda. End of page. Chapter start. 53%. Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH9 completing the sales comparison approach. PG3 Chapter 9 completing the sales comparison approach. Notes. Leave a comment. Chapter 9 completing the sales comparison approach. The Uniform Residential Appraisal Report, URAR, form is the most commonly used residential appraisal report form. It is intended for use in reporting the results of an appraisal made for mortgage lending purposes only. On page 4 of this form, it states, this report form is designed to report an appraisal of a one-unit property, or a one-unit property with an accessory unit, including a unit in a planned unit development, PUD. This report form is not designed to report an appraisal of a manufactured home, or a unit in a condominium or cooperative project. The URAR provides space for the appraiser to record all basic data about a property, its improvements, and its neighborhood. It also gives you space to record data from all three approaches: cost, sales comparison, and income capitalization. End of page. Chapter start. 53%. Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH9 completing the sales comparison approach. PG4 instructions for use of the Urar. Notes. Leave a comment. Instructions for use of the Urar. The URAR form is completed in its entirety by the appraiser. The lender should retain the original of the completed form, and the appraiser should retain a copy. The Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, (USPAP), requires appraisers to identify an appraisal report as an appraisal report or a restricted appraisal report by stating the applicable category at or near the beginning of the appraisal report form. The Appraisal Standards Board has expressed the opinion that the URAR is consistent with an appraisal report. The appraiser must provide his or her description and analysis of the neighborhood, site, and improvements. The appraiser must provide the lender with an adequately supported estimate of market value and a complete, accurate description of the property. The sales comparison analysis should include at least 3 other comparable properties and should provide specific sale or financing concession information for them. In addition, the appraiser must attach the standard required exhibits listed in the selling guide. End of page. Chapter start. 53%. Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH9 completing the sales comparison approach. PG5 required exhibits. Notes. Leave a comment. Required exhibits. In the selling guide, Fannie Mae has a list of required exhibits. B4-1.2-01, Appraisal Forms and Report Exhibits. Exhibits for appraisals. The exhibits in the following table must accompany the appraisal report. It should be noted that, in addition to these requirements, the appraiser is expected to provide any additional attachments or addenda to the appraisal report necessary to provide an adequately supported opinion of market value. End of page. Chapter start. 53%. Residential sales comparison and income approaches. Help. Documents. Email instructor. CH9 completing the sales comparison approach. PG6 selecting the sales. Notes. Leave a comment. Selecting the sales. The URAR form has space for the subject and 3 comparables. Remember, 3 is the minimum number of comparables you can use. You can add space for more comparables on the URAR using your software. The program will have an option for additional comparables page. You have no doubt come across many properties during your research that might be considered possible comparables. So, you have to narrow down the field to the sales most similar to the subject. Hopefully, the sales will have features and values that are both above and below the subject in order to bracket the subject. A thorough comparison of comparables, by gridding them in the form, allows you to rank all properties being studied, determine which are closest to the subject both above and below value, and then delete any comparables that don't fit or are otherwise inappropriate. If a comparable is completely out of line with your other indicators, you might suspect that the sale was not arm's length or had a deficiency that is not apparent. End of page. Chapter start. 54%.